Hi, Saudamini. How are you?
Hi, Sachin. I'm good. Thanks. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for asking. First of all, let me thank you for joining us at Net Talk. I know we were going back and forth for a long period of time for an interview. So thank you for giving us the time to interview.
My pleasure.
So, ma'am, I've gone through your career. You started off as a web producer. Now, web producer gives a lot of things in my mind, like where you were a producer for a movie, where you were doing videos, and this were in back 2004. It's a very, what do you call it, a very stylish title to have. I'm a web producer because one of my friends, she's a digital producer. So I sometimes don't understand what is that title. So if you could give a small introduction about yourself and how did you start your journey, that helps.
First of all, hello everyone. My name is Saudamini. I come from a very various background in the careers, like you said, web producer. So let me take you through the journey from the start. So I started with my career in 2001 after I passed my Bachelor of Engineering in Computer Science. And I was a Java topper in my college. So I was very much looking into, software development side of it. And I also got into software development with black box testing with McAfee. But it didn't interest me much. Two reasons. One is you had to put in a lot of time into it because nothing was automated at that time. And the second thing was the market was very much saturated with developers. So I could see a long term that I didn't have a good career growth. Right? I could be stagnant in that career. That was what I thought. But then I was doing good at what I was doing. And in that meanwhile, there was this customer service industry that came up.
Exactly.
And so that was just the beginning. And I had joined a company called as ADI, Atlantic Duncans International, which was looking into people, freshers, so to say. And I just tried my hand over it, and it was very interesting for me because this concept was new as a whole. And I joined them as a customer service rep, or it was a multiple position, train the newcomers and you'll be good at typing and all. So it was a different kind of thing of what I had dreamt of. Still, I worked with them for a year. I got to know what goes in the background of the customer's mind. So that is what my takeaway was that from, that company for a year.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting. And you won't believe me, it was such a huge market in US at that time. It was not in India. We had a customer base in US.
Exactly.
So it was very interesting to speak to those people and understand how they want us to behave with them. When we are offline, they can't see us and we are from India. So it was a whole new battlefield actually. So my takeaway was, what do the customers think at the background? What are they looking for exactly? And after that, I got married and I had to shift to Hyderabad. And from there, my journey started with the e-commerce website, which was hyderabadbazaar.com. So that was something new that was introduced at that time. And people were looking at it as very, with a question in mind whether this will work or not. That was the very first thing. And when I started working, it was again very interesting to me because I had a passion in writing. And my job was to, gather the customers on the website and write the description of the products that was on the website. So the products that they had were a bunch of flowers. Now, what exactly are you supposed to write for a bunch of flowers, right? Everybody relates to them. Everybody knows what the color represents. So it was very interesting. So what I did was I tried playing with the colors on the website with the description. Now, description is going to be almost the same on what other e-commerce websites have. So there I came to know how the customer reacts with the colors on the website, with the colors that he sees on the website. Which colored, we tested with this multiple pages of the same product with different color variation, different placement and all those things. So that got much more interesting, and I came to know how do the colors represent our website, or how do the customers perceive it after looking at it. So that was very interesting. So after that, I took a break of a couple of years. I came back to Pune and I started my career with BMC Software. Now that was a major breakthrough. They didn't have a team of marketing at all in their office that they started in Pune. And they were looking for people who were, related to the market. And having this customer service as a background and a background of Java, CSS and HTML, plus a little bit of e-commerce, that helped me. And I got through there over there. So I started as a content manager over in BMC Software. So it was very simple. The only job was to do is they would give us content. They gave us in-house training on the ECMS part, and we have to make changes to the content. It started from there. Mm-hmm. And gradually, because that was not enough for what I was doing. I had to do something more. Just changing the content was not what I was interested into. So I told them, and what they did is they gave me in-house SEO training. So that is where it started as a full-fledged marketing person. So once the SEO was done, I was an SEO lead. I brought the whole team from US to India. So we created a team here of 5 people. And I was their SEO lead. Gradually, we brought in globalization. So I was a globalization lead as well. For 8 countries, I used to do SEO and manage their websites in different languages. That's also a very interesting part. And gradually, this community management started. We started building community pages for our products and services. And at that time, there was not much of a social media boom. It was not, people were not aware of it. And there was only LinkedIn, I guess, that people could relate to. So we had LinkedIn.
Facebook, if you're working in US, 2004 onwards, just picked up. 7-8 में India में famous हो गया.
But this was not in 7. This was in between 2005 and 2006.
Facebook was there. Orkut was very famous.
Orkut was very famous. Yes, Orkut was that. But somehow our business policy didn't want to get into Orkut because it was not too much secure. That is what we had concluded. And LinkedIn was something that we were very comfortable with, and we had built in LinkedIn pages, couple of pages over there. And that is how I set my foot into digital marketing in BMC full-fledged. So I used to handle a team of 4 to 5 people. They came up with very nice, background. Like one was from graphics, one was from social media person. And this social media person, at that time, the definition was different. The person who knew face-to-face marketing, that was a social media person, because he used to socializing with people and networking with people. That definition, really interests me. It was funny at that time. And the one was in-house. We gave her training for content management and stuff like that. So it was very interesting over there. After that, I had to shift to Bangalore. So again, there was a break. And then I started my career as I opened my own institute for dance and music. That was one year gap. So in that, I could relate to field marketing, which I had never done before. Neither I knew how it was supposed to be done. So those were my own concepts, and I got to learn on my own. So in a year's span, I could gather 70 kids and 10 teachers, and it was growing. And there were competitors who used to come to me, and they used to ask to, sell the business to them. So selling the business means take my kids and my teachers to them. So I resisted to that, but gradually I had to do that because, again, some personal reasons, my kids' boards were there and I couldn't concentrate completely, neither to her, neither to the business. So gradually I just sold it off, and then I got a break in CMS IT services. So this was something where I could put all the gathered, my capabilities into one package. So there was off-the-field marketing, there was digital marketing, and events was something that I did very new in CMS IT services. And I really liked the, stage performance and how the events were managed and campaigns were driven. So that was very inspiring. So that was my last experience, Rautu.
That's great. You seem to be an artist rather than being a technician, because you did top in Java in your college, but then you so slowly, drifted towards, I would not say even choose, you drifted towards the being a web producer. Before that, e-commerce and everything, right? It's somewhere down the line you had that knack for marketing. You love the ads on television, or how people enacted. Because since I know you a little bit personally, that you've been a little into arts, commerce, and dances and acting as well, right? So it was something that was taking
I
your
think
mind
so.
directly?
Yes, because I love to, connect with people more rather than, sitting and doing coding. That is, I mean, I could do that if required, but I'm not that completely that person. I have to speak with people. I have to socialize, and as a person, I like variety in what I do. I need to have a strategy in place, not only, one thing that I do. I need 10. I mean, on the personal side also, I'm a multitasker. I need to have 10 different things. That is what, motivates me to do much more.
Okay, that's great. Now, how did you enjoy your, as I said, it could have been the first takeover of a dance academy by somebody that you have a 70 student, we want to acquire you. So, how did that went through?
You mean in what terms?
And like when they came to acquire you, what were the terms and conditions you put it across? Did you give your signature rights
Oh,
and all those things?
that was a plain profit of 15%, not less than that. So in
That's
one
great.
year, I can tell you, it was in numbers. It was mostly 3 lakhs, 3 point something plus.
Okay, that's great. Now, going back to 2004 when you joined us as a web producer, SEO lead and everything, how was that difference as compared to 2016-17 when I approached you for marketing at CMSIT? Things have drastically changed by that time, right?
Yeah,
2004 was a bit slow, no social media.
right.
People didn't even know if you are working or not because if you are writing a content, ये तो journalist है, इसका future खराब हो गया है, teacher मैं engineer बनाया लेकिन
Oh,
they
you
became a
bet.
teacher.
Yeah, yeah.
So
So
how
when
did you fight that stigma and then you become what you are? You are a head of marketing for CMS of
Right. So the stigma came right from when I told them, you're writing on the internet, how is that going to help you? And we were connected to a team in US. It was a huge thing for us, and we could see where we are heading towards. But for people to make me understand, or for people to, get that hang of thing that what she is really doing, came when I started with globalization. So 2016 was much more of an automation thing. You don't really have to you don't have to make code changes and all. But in 2004 and 2005, if you want to do some content change, you have to actually go to the coding and make the changes over there. And when you're working for 8 countries, it's like a tremendous task when the script
languages.
is not English. Yeah, 8 different
That's
languages. Yeah.
Okay. So that would have been a challenge because that was supposed to be my question. How did you do SEO and content in 8 different languages? Because that was very difficult to optimize because
Right.
you had Google for SEO because that's where you learn, but then you don't have resources to do that. So how did you manage that?
No, I had localized resources, like there were translators whom I was working with for the 8 different countries. So my first experiment would be on the English website, the corporate website, and I would replicate the same on the 8 websites. Then there was a catch, because the localized Google didn't give me those results which the English website gave immediate results. So we had to work upon the verbages, we had to work upon the grammar, we had to change few words that were not actually represented in those countries in that way. And we also had to work on the color part. Like in Japanese, red and blue and stuff, they have different meanings. So you cannot use the same colors that you use on the corporate site on the different countries.
That's interesting to know. So they like very tacky or they have to be very simple? How was the Japanese market?
Japanese market at that time, it just had to be, the color should be correct. You cannot use, different various images, a set of images. And the message should be very simple and crisp.
Okay. So that's interesting because I heard a lot about Japanese. They have certain way of doing things, following things, and implementing things.
They're very particular about stuff.
Yeah. So how difficult was it learning the different culture and implementing in your business?
Different cultures, actually, I took, a week's time for each country to understand what at that time, what they were going through, what was their history, and, what exactly people used to connect with, because that was much needed for us to reach that market. Because if you cannot connect to the people who are in the market, it's like waste of time.
Okay. Now, ma'am, how does it differ from, you have seen post-digital era? When I say post, obviously you were a web producer, but then things were very slow then, very, very slow, and people did not even have awareness about what you were doing right now as to what we are doing. What we call now is digital marketing. Those
Right.
days it was not digital marketing, right? So
Right.
today, if somebody says I'm going into digital marketing, people will say, okay, career is set. He is going to do this. You were doing when things were not in their place. So
Yeah.
do you go back and tell those people, see, I was more foresighted, so I did this. Now you don't doubt me in whatever I'm going to do in future now because I can see things more far.
See, things were very clear because I had a team in US, so I cannot go on gaga on that see, I did it earlier. It was not like that. I knew what it was heading towards couple of years before what the market was currently, and that was the
Mhm.
reason I chose this path, because first it was very different and very challenging because we didn't have it over here, and of course the upper hand was because I did it before, so I could have a career in this, definitely.
Okay, that's okay. Now, how do you design a campaign? What goes on in your mind?
For the campaign, see, very good question actually. All these strategies and campaigns that I do, that runs on a few terminologies that I had come through in Bhagavad Gita. So the first
Okay.
is Vishaya, that is the subject matter. The second is Adhikari, that is the person who is going to read or connect to you in that subject matter. The third is Prayojana. Prayojana means what is it that it is going to take for you to connect that subject, that Adhikari, to your Vishaya, right? For the subject matter to connect to the person who is going to read it. And the last is Sambandha, where you will understand, or you will have to perceive the person who is reading it, what does he perceive to get to understand what benefits he is going to get from this campaign. So your whole goal rotates, or I normally design it across this, that my whole goal rotates on what benefits or what takeaways does the person has when he attends the campaign, or when he is a part of the campaign.
Okay. So, I've spoken to a lot of marketing guys, and they also have one of them gave a very interesting question. He said, like, I go backwards. I don't look at I have to target this one. I go reverse, and then I think if somebody is going to pitch me, how I'm going to relate it, and then I'm going to come back. So that's interesting way of thinking. Thinking matters. For me, if a campaign is designed, since I come from sales background, so my approach is very direct. Okay, who's the
Correct.
target audience? Be a little understand a little bit of them, and then just pounce on them as much as you can, so you will get whatever you can. It's a little rough way of doing it, but see, that's works in my case because that's my psychology works. And maybe for you it's more of a research and then come back and then do each to its own, but it definitely works. So
So
speaking about
Sachin,
it.
sorry to interrupt, but what I feel, like marketing person is also a salesperson. Only that he
Exactly.
has to have a holistic view, and he has to consider a little more parts than what salespeople consider. But I
That's
think
right.
goal is the same. You have to achieve that person's interest finally.
Yeah, the other day I was interviewing a CMO. So
Mm-hmm.
I asked her what different is it being a head of marketing and CMO. She said, "You got to know everything about the company. You should know everything from HR perspective, from finance, from CEO, and how you're going to grow company. You are not handling
Absolutely.
a team. You are
Absolutely.
working for the company. So you are way
Yeah.
about that. So that's the thing. Now,
And a
many
marketing person also has to wear different hats. It's just not only for sales that you're working. You have to work for the HR also, as she said. So
yeah.
if HR has, like in CMS, HR had to have, campaigns in the colleges. So you got to connect to the kids of those colleges. Not necessarily that they are from, one background. It might be the management students. It might be the engineering students. So you got to play different roles in it.
Okay, that's great, man. Now, content is a king now, as they say. Content is a king. How was the content back then? Was it the information given to them on a content basis was equally important back then, or is just like people? It was always a important part. It's the most important part, but now people started talking about it.
I think content in the past was more to do with reading a lot and understanding. But right now, the consumer behavior is you just give a snap and you give them keywords and it runs in their head like what is it all about. So in the past, I say if we were writing one page of content for something, for a service or a product, right now it's more of how quickly can you send the message to a person. So you just need to capture that moment instead of running around the bush and giving a long content to the person who is on the other side. Because the person's interest is absolutely changed in this today's world. He just needs it very quick, and his, whatever you want to do it within 3 to 5 seconds, and he's there with you. Otherwise, you lose it.
Okay, that's great. Now, what is the future of digital marketing? I'm asking you from a perspective that you've been a very senior person in this from a long time, and so you can understand, what are the changes that you're going to foresee in future. If somebody wants to make a career in digital marketing, is it a viable option? Because considering right now it's saturated with a lot of people, they want to do it. So what's your take on that?
My take would be yes, it is still a very good option as long as we are online, and there are technical things going on via the online stuff, like the Alexa and robotics and everything is coming. So I think digital marketing does play a very good role yet, because I don't see this field wading away very soon. It's still there, and it's just kicking. Yeah, nobody had dreamed about this pandemic that is coming, but then so many different things that are happening right now, like for example, you can see in Bangalore, it's a very different story. People are the McDonald's person is standing outside with a mobile, and you can ask him to order anything and he gets it for you. So, you need to upscale according to what the situation is in the market. So it's definitely not going to fade out. But you need to upscale yourself.
Bangalore always throws surprises with new technology.
Oh, very much.
Not technology, it will come with some jugaad. That's right. Yeah. So, see, there are a lot of companies that are coming up on the net or social media telling we can do a course for $999, $95, $500, $1,800, $2,000 in 1 week. Is it really possible for someone to learn digital marketing so quickly at such a cheaper?
I see it in two ways. One is you have to have the wisdom of playing in marketing. So you need to have that brain working, how you can tag the customers along. The second is the tools, not just the tools or, the strategy. You can find n number of research papers and case studies on the internet to understand how the SEO, suppose for example, SEO strategy, you can understand how it works by going through everything on the net. But where to use and how to use it strategically, and how does it, benefit the person on the other side is something you need to decide. So this definitely, it might help, not that I'm not completely against it. It might help you to give an overview and, make you understand about the tools and latest in the market. But you need to gather that wisdom by yourself, by experience.
Oh, that's great. And, see, the one thing that I really love to speak to the senior most person in the industry is like at present people are losing their job. People are losing their jobs. People have graduated. They don't have any scope right now. What I'm hearing, listening, you must have also been reading in the newspaper. Any message to them, man? How should they cope up with that?
My message to them is, as I cannot completely relate to them, but I just understand their situation. So I can just give an idea on how they can produce this. They are digital marketers, so they are equipped with what can happen online, right? They can, there are multiple choices. They can go into blogs, they can go into online advertisements, they can go into, do multiple things. Barrier for somebody in digital marketing who has lost a job. In fact, it will give him or her a complete view of what all he or she can do on the online stuff by himself.
Okay, that sounds great. Now, before we end this interview, do you have any, are you okay for mentoring people in terms of, if they want to get in touch with you to understand more about marketing or the culture or maybe other activities that you would be a part of? Are you open to mentoring?
Yeah, I'm definitely open. No problem.
Okay, that's great, ma'am. And any tips that you can give for people to search jobs? Because we both are in marketing, I keep giving tips. If they want to search any profession, if a software engineer wants to, what keywords to put? Because you know SEO from any of us would even heard about it. You're in our colleges.
Keywords keep changing, Sachin. I cannot give you the keywords, right?
Opportunities, openings, vacancies. These are the old keywords. Any new keywords that we can share with them?
I am out of ideas. Maybe digital marketing is the one that you can use.
Okay, sure.
Right.
Yeah. So I said, thank you for joining us at Net Talk. It was wonderful speaking to you. And if there is anything that people want to get in touch with you, we will make sure that they're able to
Sure.
reach you.
Yeah, it was great pleasure speaking to you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
So here I was with Ms. Saudamini Raman. She was a marketing manager for various reputed companies, including PMC Software and CMS IT Services. Had personally interacted with them when I was working with another company, and she was to be my client. So we had a lot of discussions on going back and forward. So I was very keen on bringing her to the show. Uh, she started off very early, 2004, as a web producer, social media, and multiple other things. She has told a funny story of how what social media was all about. People who can meet people, person who can meet person is called a social media manager because they socialize with people. So those were the things, early days of marketing. She has an immense knowledge on what marketing is. She started off when we were not even knowing about what it was, and being successful in that part as well. If anybody wants to get in touch with her in terms of understanding what is the marketing and how to plan and go about it, you can follow the LinkedIn. You can follow the LinkedIn link that I will be mentioning over here, and from there we can probably get in touch. That's the regular things. And once again, thank you for joining us at Net Talk. I'll keep bringing you more stories, and we can connect back on that one, and I'll try to get you more stories on that one. If there is any feedback, do write to us. Where it is, sachin@thenettalk.com. And if there is any problem during this video or any of the videos, I do apologize. The bandwidth is very bad because I think everybody is on internet. So some or the other way, the connections are not good. We're trying to see what we can. In case you have any questions, do let us know. We help you in terms of your marketing outreach, HR, and other things as well. We have a lot of experts that can help you, your company as well. Take care. Goodbye.